All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Note that Councillor Sandall is away on vacation today, but the rest of council is present. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda? Mr. Lowe?
Acting Mayor, session members of council, I'd like to add to the agenda under 11.6 bylaw PLU 2-25.
Sorry, that would be under 10.4? Did I miss that?
11.6.
11.6, my apologies.
Sorry, Mr. Lowe, can you repeat the number of that bylaw, please?
PL 2-25.
Okay.
That would be PLU.
Sorry, PLU 2-25. All right, anything else?
You have one, don't you?
No, apparently I do that when we get to the notice of motion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a couple, please. Under old business, I'd like follow up with meeting with MLA Dale Nally. An update on the trail cams issue. This is all under old business. New business, the policy for council to be escorted into the town office when necessary. Cottage project update under old business, please. That's it. You've got the numbers. Sorry, you got the numbers all sorted, right, Ms. Pinot?
Yes, as long as we've got everything, we're good to go. Can I just read
Certainly,
that
yeah.
back to you?
Thank
So
you.
under old business, we have MLA Dale Nally, the trail cams update, and the cottage project. And under new business policy in regards to council being escorted into the town of Gibbons office.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Oh, move the,
Could we move the library presentation up to just following the adoption of the minutes?
yes. Any other adjustments? All right, all in favor? Oh, no, I need a motion, sorry. Can I get a motion
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda
as amended?
as amended.
Thank you. All in favor? All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the council meeting for June 11th, 2025? Councillor Barry.
Yes, I'll move that we adopt the minutes for the council meeting as of July the 11th as presented.
June 11th.
What did I say?
July.
Sorry about that.
We're not there yet.
June 11th. Thank you.
All right, any questions? All in favor? All right. So that puts us, I guess, 8.1. Gibbons Library Board, welcome.
Could I do a little bit of an introduction? Yes. I'm the council rep on the library board, and the representatives we have here are Rebecca Babachuk, who is the chairperson for the library board, and Melissa Massey, who is the animator, volunteer animator for the community, and she has accessed significant dollars from the Rural Mental Health Initiative to contribute to programming efforts that have taken place out of the library. And this presentation is primarily about the work that Melissa has done.
Thank you. That was the majority of my introduction. Thank you for facilitating that for me. But yes, Melissa has been on our board for just over a year now, and she also volunteers as a grant animator, and her experiences have been instrumental in allowing us to apply to a number of grants over the course of the year, and securing our largest funding to date, which is about the program that we're here to speak with you about. So go ahead, Melissa.
I feel like I'm the center of attention, but it takes support and it takes a team. And yeah, So I will go ahead. So today we're here to provide an overview of the Gibbons Municipal Library's involvement in the Rural Mental Health Program. This includes providing an update on grants received to date and highlighting key outcomes and community impact. This will include sharing wonderful success stories and next steps. The Gibbons Municipal Library is much more than a place to get books. It's a community hub, a safe and welcoming space with no financial barriers for residents. In 2024, there were 8,500 in-person visits to the library, plus an additional 400 visits for after-hour programming and events, which equals almost 9,000 in-person visits. The library is a safe place for youth to participate in activities after school and weekends, offer library services to the Seniors Lodge, and offers weekly programs for families to gather and strengthen their sense of community. The library supports well-being, education, literacy, employment, and adult learning with access to books, exam proctoring, homeschool groups, programming, and access to technology such as computers and printing. The library is strengthening its partnership with local groups and organizations and works to offer space, support the programming of community groups, connects residents with community resources outside of the library, and routinely contributes to community events and celebrations. In 2024, we were supported by 23 volunteers who gave more than 600 hours of their time to make programming and extra initiatives happen. Understanding the significant role the Gibbons Municipal Library already plays within our community, we joined the Rural Mental Health Project, or RMH for short, in 2024 with the aim of supporting the improved well-being of our community members and community. The RMH grant is a provincially funded initiative coordinated by the Canadian Mental Health Association Alberta Division. It was developed in recognition of the unique mental health challenges that rural communities in Alberta face, including isolation, limited access to services, and smaller, more dispersed populations. The focus of the RMH project is really about building local capacity, investing in the strengths that already exist in rural communities, and giving communities like Gibbons the tools, funding, and support to develop programming that fits our local context and priorities. One of the key features of RMH is that it's not a top-down approach. It's solutions created for residents by residents. At the Gibbons Library, this initiative is being steered by our volunteer board of trustees. Why this is important in Gibbons. As we've engaged with the community through conversations, programs, and feedback, residents are telling us two things at the same time. First, there are many great community assets in Gibbons. We have a strong foundation with facilities like the library, the youth center, the food bank, seniors groups, the resource center, green spaces, and community groups. These assets reflect the commitment and care that exists in the community. Residents see value in these spaces and want them to thrive. At the same time, there are still challenges that impact residents' ability to fully connect and engage with the community. Residents have shared there are minimal opportunities for social connections, particularly for individuals who are new to the community, including military families, parents looking for family-friendly spaces, seniors seeking connection, and others who may feel isolated. These challenges are important because they directly affect community well-being, belonging, and mental health, which is why this work with the Rural Mental Health Project is so necessary in Gibbons. RMH grants secured to date. Since joining the Rural Mental Health Project, we've successfully secured 2 rounds of grant funding that have directly supported mental health and wellness programming here in Gibbons for a total of $28,950. In 2024, we received $7,950 for a project we called Gibbons Stronger Together. This was our first grant, and it focused on building opportunities for residents to connect, reducing isolation, and creating inclusive, low-barrier programming. The grant has been successfully completed and has really laid the foundation for ongoing work in the community. Building on that success, we applied for a second round of funding in 2025 and were awarded $21,000 for our current project, which we've titled Gibbons Rooted in Connection. This funding has allowed us to expand programming, launch a mental health week events, participate and contribute to community events, expand library resources, and continue strengthening partnerships. This grant is still ongoing, with programs currently being delivered and evaluated. Each of these funding rounds reflects not only the needs we've identified in the community, but also the capacity we've built to design and deliver responsive, effective programming that supports mental health and community wellness here in Gibbons. Next slide. Highlights and achievements. This in no way is an exhaustive list of activities, but I'd like to highlight a few accomplishments of this RMH grant. We've worked hard to improve the library space, as it's a free and accessible community space where people can gather and meet. From an updated early childhood play area, to a stock of games to gather and connect over, to a cozy fireplace that will soon be installed to gather around. We've also ensured we've had refreshments and snacks to offer folks that access the space. We've also offered amenities in the space to reduce barriers to participating in well-being activities with friends and family outside of the space, such as loanable lawn games, fishing kits, a seed library, free pumpkins at Halloween, and more. And these are all free, especially with the library card, which is also free. We're building partnerships in key community events, such as those held this May to celebrate Mental Health Week, in collaborations with the Gibbons Family Resource Center. From listening to a panel of residents talk about why mental health matters, I believe we have one of the panelists right over there, to a Youth Amazing Race style event. We're working hard to engage community members in important conversations to reduce the stigma around mental health and highlight what's available in our community. We're creating free opportunities for connection, well-being, and fun across all age groups. We've held a variety of one-time programs, such as a self-care workshop, a youth-led friendship bracelet making program, a free herb garden workshop, and we've still got so much more coming this year, including a family fire night with the Men's Fire Group, art workshops, and more. We've also created weekly opportunities for folks to connect, such as the weekly snack and play program where both parents and young children can come together in the library's play area. We're holding significant events that are bringing people together and contributing to the sense of community here in Gibbons, Alberta. From an East Coast-style kitchen party to opening the library doors during the hometown Christmas event to over 300 people enjoying holiday refreshments, free crafts, and a holiday movie. This year, we will be contributing to all of the main cultural events, including Pioneer Days, Hometown Christmas, and the Gibbons Meet the Community Night. Success stories. The successes of this grant can best be summed up through the words shared by our residents. Rebecca, a stay-at-home mom, shared, "This new snack and play program has been a welcome and wonderful addition to my weekly schedule, currently as a stay-at-home mom with 2 little ones. It has enhanced my sense of community as I've met other moms and some dads since attending the group that I now see around the community. All in all, we've shared our struggles, some tears and successes, tips and tricks with regards to all things children, potty training, sleep, you name it. Family dynamics, family roles. Seeing these families regularly has also allowed me and my daughter the opportunity to develop her own friends, even at a young age, and get the social interaction she needs now that she's no longer in day home. Personally, I leave the program each week feeling happy, connected with others, and with a deeper connection to my sense of purpose as a parent. I know my kids leave feeling happy, tired from exercising their brain, and more emotionally regulated throughout the rest of the day after having some creative playtime in a new environment with new toys and new friends." Next steps. As we look ahead, our focus is on building on the strong foundation that's been created through these grants and continuing to respond to the needs we're hearing from the community. First, we'll be continuing to deliver current programming through the Rooted in Connections grant, with an emphasis on consistent, accessible opportunities for residents of all ages to build relationships, reduce isolation, and foster well-being. Second, we'll be exploring opportunities for sustainability, both through future grant applications and by looking at how we might strengthen partnerships, secure additional resources, and build more long-term stability into the programs residents are valuing. This includes an ongoing partnership with the Rural Mental Health Project and exploring additional granting streams. Finally, and why we're probably here, we're looking forward to continuing to work in close partnership with council and administration, both to keep you informed of our progress and to align with the town's broader goals. We welcome opportunities to explore how we can support one another in this work, whether through ongoing advocacy, in-kind contributions, collaborative initiatives, or helping to amplify information to residents. We also invite you to acknowledge the significant contributions of the Gibbons Family Resource staff in advancing this project, and to continue encouraging their involvement in sustaining and strengthening these efforts. Ultimately, our next steps are about continuing to strengthen connection, belonging, and mental health well-being right here in Gibbons. Thank you for listening, and thank you for council for supporting the Gibbons Municipal Library. We are open to any questions or discussions you may have.
All right, well, thank you very much. First, can I get a motion for accepting this information?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Barry, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Well done.
Yeah, very well done. Yeah, I'm impressed to see that you've had almost three times the town of Gibbons through your library.
Over 200 people a day, typically.
Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful. Any other, Councillor Malante?
How's the relationship going with Northern Lights? Have they been accommodating? Have they been helpful?
Yes, absolutely. There was recently a Northern Lights leaders meeting event where library managers had an opportunity to connect, board members had an opportunity to connect. They've been rolling out a number of different technology platforms that they've been offering training on. They've been helping us upgrade our computer systems. Overall, the board is very happy with the relationship we have with Northern Lights. James, the director of Northern Lights, he's easy to reach out to, and they're very responsive to any questions we've had.
Right on. And I guess that's just from my history on the board. I just wanted to make sure that relationship's still alive and well. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is, have you thought about doing, or have you started any AI type training for individuals who are learning how to do it and cautious about the cybersecurity piece, but also, things that would help in practice, right, for the community, make things go faster, better, that kind of thing?
It's a timely question. It is becoming more and more important that we address AI in our operations and helping patrons understand what the implications of AI might mean to them in their personal lives. There is a workshop being put on this particular month by a new resident to the community. He's volunteering in that capacity to put on an AI learning workshop for patrons to help understand some of those pieces and to learn how to use AI tools effectively. That'll be the first time that we have addressed it in a public form, but I'm sure more and more will come. This is something that Northern Lights is also very much aware of, so there's much communication coming down from them with regards to how we might communicate and train and educate residents in our community about it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Just one last thank you, and I'm very proud to be the council rep on your board.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lorraine.
All right, anybody else? All right, all in favor of accepting this information? Thank you, ladies, so much. Have a great evening. All right, 7.1, accounts paid as of June 19th. Can I get a motion for that? Thank you, Councillor Kozak. Any questions? Councillor Harris?
Thank you. I have a few, actually. So starting with the first page, I noticed that there is an expense to Parkworks Solutions Corporation for $46,000. That is for the Memorial Park, I assume?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just out of curiosity, and I don't know if this probably could be answered now. What's the procurement process that we go through in order to choose our? I mean, that's we're writing big checks to companies, and how do we pick them?
Acting Mayor Shishin, members of council. So we ended up getting, we didn't put it out for tender, but we got quotes on the equipment for the facility and for the shelter, and we went with best pricing and product at the time. So when we originally did that, we went with Parkworks, and with all the tariffs and everything, they still became the most reasonably priced and available product at that time. So
Okay, are the tenders made, like, are they advertised?
this one was not for this project. It wasn't.
So generally they are?
Typically, again, this one was kind of unique with the extension and the way some of the proceedings went with how it came down the chain. Typically, I would normally put that one out. If I would have had time, I probably would have re-tendered that one out. But in order to get this grant completed in time, we didn't have time to redo that.
Okay, so if is that a requirement under the MGA for the tenders to be publicized?
Well, Chris can answer that.
Administration has a procurement policy that we follow when it comes time to put anything out for tender or to invite bidders for whatever the case may be, or to get quotes based on whatever equipment is needed.
Okay, thank you, but my question was, is it required under the MGA for them to be publicized?
Not from my understanding. I would have to look in on that, so I don't want to say an answer to that because I don't know if it is.
Okay.
Just to touch on that as well, though, it was just the Parkworks equipment and washroom facility piece that we didn't put out. So all like the surface and the groundwork currently is out through our engineer, and he's putting everything out for tender. And that information can become public.
Okay.
So that's not complete yet.
So according to our preliminary review that interim CAO Eric is going to touch on his report, that was not something that Municipal Affairs said was a requirement, nor did they even touch on it. So I would assume with our policy, we are well within where we're supposed to be.
Okay, is the procurement policy available to the public? Like, is it on our website?
I would have to double check. I don't want to say 100%, but if not, we can make sure that it gets up there.
Okay, thank you. Should I keep going? Anybody else? Okay. Just a couple down from there, there's two checks made out to Shaw Cable Systems, and they both are listed for April, May 25, and it's under Advantage. And one is $3,177.29. The other is $3,182.32. Can I get an explanation as to why there are two checks to the same company for the same months? Like, is one for May and one for April, or what's the?
So good evening, Acting Mayor Sishin and members of council. So if you go back a few council meetings ago, it was regarding the fiber optic line that came in, that Shaw put in. So they created it with two separate accounts. So it's one project under two separate accounts. So that's why we have April and May is one job number kind of thing, even though it's for the same, and then the other one's for the second one.
Okay, this is fiber optics for the town facilities?
So this is the fiber optic line that runs down the ditch to the south development. So, and then it stopped it at the south development, and then from there, the developer was responsible going into their property.
So
We had to supply it from here to there.
Okay, so are these one-time charges,
No,
or?
So this is over the next 36 months. We had the big lump sum payment of 45,000, I believe it was, or 50,000, my apologies, 25,000 on each account. And then going forward for the next 36 months, we will have the monthly payments.
And,
Because it's a total project cost of approximately $267,000.
okay, was this approved separately? I don't, as an expense by council, or?
It was.
Because I don't recall.
It was part of that whole project, that south end development, the fiber optic line running down the ditch to that project.
Huh.
So it was on payables when we first brought it forward back, I think it was in March, maybe, sorry, on my months, but
So the town is responsible for
yep, we're
just the installation of the fiber optics, or?
Yeah, so it's the same as you receiving your cable, your phone line here in town. We have a responsibility, I guess, to a certain point, and then it's the responsibility on afterwards. So that's what we've done. We've run that cable fiber optics line down the ditch to the property line going to that south development.
How much is the developer paying then? If we're paying $3,000 or $6,000 a month?
I don't know what his costs were after our property line. I don't know what those costs were.
Huh. Well, that seems a little odd that we're paying a monthly payment for 36 months.
Well, we could have come up with $267,000 up front, but they said, we'll split it up for you. So we paid $25,000 to begin with originally, and then after that was monthly payments, and then we're supposed to do another $45,000, the second payment, but they said, we'll take that one over a year. So that one's divided over 12 months, but the big majority of the costs is over the next 36 months.
I understand what you're saying, and really, it's nothing, this isn't directing,
Yep.
My questions are not directed at you as an individual. When any borrowing bylaws are approved for any of the development, I mean, it's a lump sum that we're approving, not knowing that we're gonna be responsible for those types of figures for X amount of years, right? Does that make sense?
So I can't talk what previously our administration did. I just know from this point, we were responsible to carry that line down there, and the cost was $267,000, and it's our responsibility now to pay that.
Mr. Lowe, is this written anywhere? Is there an agreement?
Acting Mayor, your assistant members of council, Councilor Harris, I would have to look into the documentation on that and get back to you on that.
Okay.
Because I have to go back into what the billing and everything was to get a correct answer for you.
Okay, because from what I understand, we either have approved an off-site levy or a local improvement tax, so this should be incorporated. To me, it seems like this is an additional cost to what we've approved, right? So, I can,
I could be wrong. It may not be an additional cost. It may just be coming up now as the payment's been made out.
yeah, I know, but the town is, we did the infrastructure, provided the infrastructure with the understanding that either via a local improvement tax or off-site levy, those charges would be recouped. Well, this is $200,000 that the town we're allegedly responsible for, but A, there's nothing written down, so council is none the wiser, and B, is it incorporated into the money that, we've approved with either one of those two, means of borrowing, right? So, I don't know if after, this is done, if need be, there is because I'd like a follow-up for that.
It would require that council give a motion to direct administration to investigate the Shaw cable installation.
So after we vote on
Yeah.
this, then we could do a vote.
Can you
on
write that down?
Already did.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, there is, just curious as to the redaction, why there would be a redaction for a Neighbor Day grant? The blacked out part.
Ms. Pino?
It just has to do with personal information, so that if a check was made out to an individual, that's their personal information. Personal information is protected under the FOIP Act, under Section 17.
Oh. Okay. We've done that before, I mean.
Yes, we have.
Huh, okay. Next page, I was gonna ask about the Shaw cable system charges, but I get that, that's they're not related, that's like town facility wise, okay. Going down to Brownlee, the Brownlee charges. There are two charges, one for $367.50 for auditor's letter and a confidential HR matter. I just, a couple of questions, but starting with, what was the inquiry with regards to the auditor's letter? Why did we contact our lawyers for that?
Good evening, council. The auditor's letter charge as part of the Brownlee, that's regarding a confirmation that was set with the financial audit. So part of the financial audit requires them to contact the lawyer and ask, hey, you know, the town has communicated these are the outstanding lawsuits, these are the outstanding amounts. Is that accurate? Is there anything we're missing? Because there's a disclosure on the financial statements for those items.
Yeah.
They respond, and then they send us the invoice at the end.
Okay, so that's just yearly practice, okay.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, we used to have, use Putnam Law as well as Kingsgate Legal, and I haven't seen any charges from them recently, and we have had council issues, over the since January, so are we not using Kingsgate anymore?
I can't speak to Putnam, but I know Kingsgate was only because the lawyer that used to be at Brownlee moved to Kingsgate and took that case with him. And if we haven't had any dealings with that case, then we wouldn't have any charges for
Well,
Kingsgate.
you're referring to Michael Solomon, correct? Yeah,
Could be, I don't know if I remember the name, but.
No, it's Michael Solomon. Well, I was under the impression that Michael Solomon was retained to solely deal with matters pertaining to me. And that's because I've inquired as to why we were retaining him. So he's gone with Farrell and Dan then, I guess?
Or we haven't had any dealings relating to what he's dealing with.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. But are we still using Putnam Law for our real estate transactions?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you. And going just down to the Purolator, what are we sending to Drumheller and LAP?
So LAPP is our contributions, so
Yeah.
there's just a time requirement on that. So when there was a possible postal strike, and during the postal strike, we used that to make sure that those checks were received
Okay.
on time. I believe the Drumheller one was for the fire department in sending down some, was it training packages?
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of Council, it's for fire department courses. We send them out. We get grants for this, and then we purulate things down, back and forth,
Okay.
just to get things done.
Good.
So,
Thank you. We'll be talking about the vac truck further down into the meeting, but, because we haven't purchased it now, are we responsible? I just note that Triple K Stables, there was a charge for vac truck service for $1,408. Are we responsible for all of the upkeep of that vehicle with a lease?
Acting Mayor Decision, members of council, Councillor Harris, Triple K Stables is a contract employee we contracted out now to run our vac truck for us, just because we were so short-handed at Public Works, losing a staff member for half their hours per week to suck out the tanks and do the servicing with the vac truck. It has been costing us a lot of manpower, so we did hire a secondary employee just on contract for that for part-time, and that's Triple K Stables.
So, that's actually an employee? This individual would work for the town on that vac truck?
That's correct.
And we're paying them through their company?
Through their company, yes. There is a contract employee for us on that.
Well, that's not a contract employee, that's a business that we're paying. They're two different things.
A business working under a contract, yes.
Right. When was that decided?
That would have been at the start of May. That was the first month we've requested this.
Okay, we'll inquire into that later then. And the last one that I have is just below that is the provincial policing costs for $166,419. Is this the time of year that we actually are responsible?
That is correct. That's our
to-
yearly invoice from the
Yeah.
province when they downloaded policing onto municipalities.
Right,
So that's our yearly contribution to
okay.
it.
Good, thank you, I'm finished.
All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor? Motion?
Oh, yes. I'd like to make a motion for council to direct administration.
To investigate the Shaw cable installation.
Agreement.
Sure.
Right, okay.
With regards to like.
With regards to the, yeah, well, I mean, the agreement should have all of the information outlined in it, right? So,
All right,
Is council looking for a copy of that agreement?
yes, I would like to include a copy of that agreement if we have it.
If we can find something, yeah.
Sure, thank you.
all right, any questions?
Recorded vote, please.
All in favor? All right, opposed? I don't think so. I think we all agreed. All right, that moves us to 9.1, tax notice inconsistencies.
Acting Mayor Yusish and members of council, the purpose of this report is to provide council with information regarding the tax notice monthly payment inaccuracy printed on certain tax notices. For the background, the 2025 property tax notices were mailed out to residents the week of May 19th, shortly after the town was contacted, and informed that the tax installment amount beginning July 1st, 2025 appeared inaccurate. The town investigated and identified that the information received about the tax repayment error was correct. Through inspection of the tax system within Catalyst ERP, it was identified that monthly tax payments received on March 1st were not posted through the financial ledger of the accounting system. The tax amounts were received and the receipt information prepared. However, the payment did not have the final posting completed at the time the tax notices were sent out. As a result, approximately 200 residents who remitted a tax installment on March 1st did not have this payment included in the automated 2025 tax notice calculation for monthly installment payment plans. The Catalyst ERP system does not have a function built into the software that allows for reprinting of tax notices. As an alternative, the town prepared tax notification letters outlining the incorrect tax installment value and recalculated the correct installment amount beginning July 1st, 2025. These letters were sent out within the May 19th week. Residents affected have had the correct information input in the tax system module. Those on the tax installment payment plan will have the correct amount withdrawn on July 1st, 2025. Options available. That council receive the tax notice report as information. Recommended action, that council receive the tax notice report as information.
All right, can I get a motion? Councillor Barry?
I'll move that council receives the tax notice report as information.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris?
I have a couple of questions, actually. Number one, with the staff this didn't come to the attention of the staff by the staff recognizing it. It was a resident or residents who brought it to the attention of the staff?
Correct.
I did a rough calculation. If there were 200 people that were on the tax installment program, I just used $300 a month, right, as an average. That's $60,000 that came into the town bank account somewhere that wouldn't have been noticed until we noticed it, we as in, the staff. One, where did the money go? Two, did these people incur penalties because they were late? And three, how was this missed by the employees?
Okay, you have to repeat the questions.
Okay.
It was noticed that we have the money. This
Right.
is updating individual balances.
It wasn't, or it was noticed?
No, you said we didn't notice that the money wasn't received. It was received.
Oh, yeah,
in
no,
the
no,
bank
like
and it was
when it was
posted.
received, it went somewhere
Yes.
and nobody asked where it went or why it was, like, I'm a little unclear
There's a
as to why.
concept when we receive the payments on monthly installment plans and updating individual balances and calculating what future balances are. So the calculation on the future balances, hey, this is what you're going to be remitting if you're on the first of the month. That
Right.
was the number that was missed by one payment of 24 or
So-
2012, I guess, if they're monthly. Sorry.
So were the residents, did the residents pay their monthly installment, or was it missed by the town, taking it out of their bank account?
So they're automated, so
Yeah.
the payment was received by the town.
Right.
And on the tax notice, it's saying upcoming in the July year for 2025 to 2026. This is approximately what you'll be paying.
Right.
Then some residents said, hey, that's a little higher than I'm used to. Why is that? We looked into it, and that's what identified. Oh, we realized that we hadn't finalized a posting from March 1st.
Okay, so it was an accounting error I'm just,
More of an accounting error than an actual cash transaction error. And it was upcoming, so no resident actually paid the incorrect amount.
oh no, it's not that I'm worried about the incorrect amount. Thank you for answering the question about the penalties. I mean, because if we didn't,
Yeah.
Right.
No penalties here.
okay, good. Where did it go then? I suppose, so 200 people pay their tax installment. Don't we rectify or reconcile the bank accounts on a monthly basis?
Yeah, and that was in process at the time, and that's probably why it got missed originally, because we were working on the March at the time when we issued the tax notices. Now, the payment was received and recorded through the GL, but the monthly bank reconciliation is another process, and calculating future payments is another step to receipting.
But the tax notices were sent out May.
Correct. May.
This was a March payment.
Yes.
Are the bank accounts not reconciled on a monthly basis?
They are reconciled on a monthly basis, just at the time we were working on March.
Like in May, you were working on March?
Correct.
They're not done on a, monthly?
We've
I don't know this. It's not my wheelhouse, so.
Yeah, ideally we would, and in the past, the Gibbons has been very behind on monthly bank recs, so being within 2 months is an improvement.
Okay,
And ideally, we should be doing it month.
okay, no,
As soon as the month's complete, that should be a priority.
perfect.
But, you know,
Those are my questions, thank you.
fair questions. Thanks.
Any other questions? I do have one, just because when talking with Eric at one point, I thought I overheard something that maybe you're looking at getting a new program as opposed to, what was it called? Catalysts? Did I hear correctly?
So that is something eventually, ERPs are eventually going to be non-existent anymore. The way of the future is on cloud-based, but we're talking a couple years down
Okay.
the future. So it's something that definitely has to be in our minds going forward for budget and all that. But currently, we are not changing our system. We did look at it about 18 months ago, changing over. It would be anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to switch over. I talked to another municipality recently at the GFOA conference. They switched over in 2019 to a software program. They now have to switch over again. And it was almost a 2-year process and them making that change, but because the software companies are going to a cloud base, that's why the transition again that these guys are gonna have to do. And the cost is not small. The cost is gonna be,
It's what I do for a living, and transformations are not.
no, it's not easy. And the one municipality that changed over, they said it was great when they swapped over, and then now they've had a ticket in for 18 months.
Yeah, and sorry, the only reason I asked is just I've heard a couple of times over the last few months of our program doesn't allow us to do this, doesn't allow us to do that, and it seems to be a couple of things that would make a lot of sense if it could do it.
And I agree with you guys completely. That's why we did look in about 12 months to 18 months ago to look at making that change over. But because of the cost and the time and thing, we didn't think it would be a great option. And then now learning that most of these companies are phasing out, going to cloud-based, it's probably a good thing that we didn't start that switch over at that time.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right, all in favor? Okay, vac truck warranty update, 9.2.
Acting Mayor Yusishin and members of council, the purpose of this report is to update council on the vac truck warranty as requested at the regular meeting of council on April 9, 2025. Below are the following parts that are still under warranty on the vac truck. Our recommendation for action, administration would like to respectfully request that council consider the following recommendation, that council accept the vac truck warranty update to report as information.
All right, can I get a motion? Thank you, Councillor Kozak. Any questions? Councillor Harris?
Thank you, Curtis. It's unfortunate that this was presented prior to the information about us not actually purchasing the vac truck, because we're not purchasing the vac truck. So my question is if we're leasing it indefinitely and the transmission blows, 2 years from now, we're responsible for a new transmission in a leased truck that we paid 12 grand for a month?
Acting Mayor Session, members of council, Councilor Harris, I would have to look at the lease agreement further on that for how that would work under that aspect in a couple of years, but currently, these are the parts that are still under warranty. That's the information I have at this time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll ask my questions in the next item.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? All right, vac truck borrowing update.
Acting Mayor Session, members of council, the purpose of this report is to provide council with information regarding the hydrovac truck and an update on the related bylaw alt 2-25 short-term borrowing bylaw hydrovac truck. At the regular council meeting held on March 12, 2025, council approved bylaw alt 2-25 short-term borrowing bylaw authorizing administration to finance the purchase of the hydrovac truck. The debenture borrowing approved was for $303,320, which is calculated by the estimated total cost of the project by $387,500, less the rental credits earned in the amount of $84,180. Administration worked with the approved financial institution in obtaining this financing and reviewed the debt limit under the Municipal Government Act, Section 252, to ensure adequate borrowing space was available. Since that time, the audited financial statements were finalized and presented to Council on April 23, 2025. The audited financial statements contain disclosure on the debt limit of the town as of December 31, 2024, and identified that the total debt limit remaining was $519,420. When factoring the financial activities of the 2025 fiscal year, the town identified that there was not adequate space for additional borrowings. Due to this updated calculation, the town cannot proceed with additional borrowings without contravening the Municipal Government Act, Section 252 at this time. The options for consideration by this council include the following: that council accept this report as information. The recommended action is that council accepts this report as information.
All right, can I get a motion? Councilor Kozak. Questions? Councilor Harris?
Thanks. I'm just actually pulling up the March, was it March 12th? This date is actually incorrect. I'm just looking at it says what the heck? May 14th, pardon me. Wait, I'm pulling up March 12th. There we go. The agenda package. Because don't we have to note in the agenda package what the debt stands at, or the debt limit is at the time of the presentation? Do you know what I mean? We're entering and we're being asked to approve a loan, and if I'm not mistaken, that's why I'm just kind of scrolling through real quick here. In the information from, is this it? Oh, yeah, it is. How did we not know that our debt limit, we were $500,000 away from our debt limit at that time? I guess there's my question.
Acting Mayor Session, members of council, was the debt limit discussed when the borrowing bylaw update was approved?
That's what I'm just.
They're fairly certain we would have talked about that.
Well, this is this year. You said Farrell was here?
I said fairly certain we would have talked about what the debt limit was at the time.
Yeah, and so, I'm confused how this was even presented to council. And I mean, if I recall correctly, it was extremely urgent that we approve this borrowing bylaw, because we didn't, want to waste paying lease. I don't think Mitchell, you were here yet, were you?
I was here, but not presenting.
Okay. You know, this is, oh, there we go. Here we go. It says the principal amount of the outstanding debt of the municipality on the 31st of December 2024 is $7,259,801.95. That's the principal. How did we go from reporting a debt limit of $7 million in this document to the audit report of being at our, 500 grand away from our debt limit? What's our debt limit right now?
Right, so you're saying we had outstanding debts at 7 million?
Yep.
Yeah, and the debt limit is what you have remaining that you can borrow.
What is it? Yeah.
In March? I'm not sure what it was in March. At December 31st is what I'm talking about. Where was your number from?
I'm actually looking at the request for the short-term borrowing bylaw, ALT 2-25, the one that was presented to us in March. So it said, I'm reading right from it, the principal amount of the outstanding debt was $7.2 million, right? As far as I'm aware, our debt limit is far more than $7 million. So, number one, what was our debt limit back then? And number two, I know for a fact it wouldn't be $7.7 million would be our debt limit, right? Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, when we're talking about $7.7 million of debt, that's our outstanding liabilities
Right.
in total. The debt limit is reduced by the amount of debt that we take. So when you look at the audited statements, the debt limit would go down. Say we took another 500,000 out, it would say,
Right.
oh, you have no debt limit remaining, so the debt limit would be zero.
Right.
Right.
I understand that.
Okay.
So this document says the principal amount of the outstanding debt of the municipality is $7.2 million.
Okay.
This is what was reported in March of this year when this borrowing bylaw was presented to council and for an approval. So are you saying that the $7 million is not what we owe?
I'm saying the $7 million is not the debt limit.
No, I realize that.
Sorry to interrupt, but on there, and I could be wrong, but I thought she also puts, this is what we currently owe, but this is what's remaining on our debt limit.
I'm looking at it right now.
there?
No.
Okay. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry,
Yeah.
ma'am, we need to, thank you. That I need you to watch as well, ma'am, sorry.
So what I'm asking is that, and I'm sorry, Mitchell, because you weren't here and you're asking questions that you probably have no idea of. We were asked to approve a $303,000 purchase of the vac truck. At that time, it was reported that we owed only $7.2 million, which I assume our debt limit would have been well before that. Am I right?
I would assume we would have had plenty of room.
Yeah,
for
assume that we would, that's my whole point. I would assume that at that time, it was the understanding that we would have plenty of room. So how did we go from this only having $505,000 left in our debt limit to, how did we get here? What's our debt limit right now?
Acting Mayor, your assistant members of council, Councilor Harris, if you can give us a chance, because Ms. Jeffries isn't here, director of my finance team can get together and get back to you on next council meeting with these answers. It would help, because then we can talk and
Actually
get
have
the
the
correct
answers.
answers for you, instead of us trying to sit here and try to guess at them. I'd rather have correct answers for you.
Well, I can appreciate that, Mr. Lowe, but you are presenting information to council. As a matter of fact, I'll make my second point. In October of 2023, October 11th meeting of 2023, actually, I went back into that meeting and the minutes. And Mr. O'Malley had requested that council approve the purchase of this vac truck has been the bane of our existence. But anyway, Mr. O'Malley, it was, and just so you know, Ms. Pinot, I do have the motion number if necessary. We approved the vac truck purchase by way of taking it off our line of credit in that motion. October 11th, 2023. It's in the minutes. I would like to know why we did that, first of all, and then fast forward a year and a half, we are approving a borrowing bylaw. Anybody?
Councillor Berry?
I'd like to call the question.
Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea, Councillor Berry, what I am talking about?
I do, but I think we also need a motion for them to get the information.
Well, if I can finish my points, people, and let the administration know what questions I'm asking, as opposed to being interrupted.
That would be part of your motion, though, Councillor Harris. Make a motion of what it is that you want after we.
You know
finish this
what?
one.
The financial health of our community is in dire straits right now. We are the ones who are tasked with making the final decision, and frankly, the administration to date doesn't know left hand from right hand. So I'm afraid that I am absolutely appalled that 3 months ago, we were asked to approve the purchase of the vac truck in a hurry. Secondly, we are responsible now for paying a lease payment of $12,000 for a development, and the developer pays $600 a month, and council doesn't care? Like,
Not once have we said we don't care,
well, nobody else is asking questions.
because you're taking care.
How's that?
So, the question's been called. When we vote on that, then let's have a.
You know what? You're the chair. You don't have to acknowledge that. I'm still in the middle of speaking, and as a matter of fact, she can't call the question on me while I'm still making my point. I would like to bring up Robert's Rules of Order. Perhaps you should look them up.
Robert's Rules of Order don't come into play if we have a procedural bylaw that speaks about that, which is what is also in the procedural bylaw. So, we'll call the question, we'll vote on the information, and then you can feel free
This
to
is
make your motion.
despicable. Shame on all of you.
Feel free to make your motion so we can get the information that we're.
Well, there was a motion to accept his information that, oops, sorry, we're not buying the vac truck anymore.
Okay, and then we can have an additional motion afterwards for you to get, and for us to
I
get
would
the
like, okay,
information.
I would like to know if any other counselor has any other questions about this. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, you guys.
I don't have additional because you've covered the questions I had.
Oh, would you have? Yeah, I was just interrupted and I can't ask any more questions by a fellow counselor, sir.
All right. All in favor?
I would like a recorded vote.
All in favor? All opposed? Do you have an additional motion you'd like to make?
I don't even know where to start, frankly. Ms. Pinnell, did you happen to jot down my rant at all, what my questions would be? Because I'll tell you what, I would like council to direct administration to look back in the historical documents surrounding the purchase of the vac truck for the 4.5 acres, and particularly the October 11th, 2023 minutes where council approved the purchase via the lines of credit, and report back by the next meeting.
All right. Any questions on that?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
All in favor? Okay. Could I request an additional motion from somebody relating to what our current debt limit is? Because that would be what our current debt limit is and where we're currently sitting. Councilor Malante?
I'll put forward the motion that administration look into, or direct administration into finding out what our current debt limit is, as well as the threshold as to how far it can go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, actually, please.
Okay.
This was the information that we are $500,000 away from our debt limit. Obviously was drawn from somewhere. would those not be in the financial statements then? Like, why can't we just pull up the auditor's report? Do they not say that the debt limit is X and we have $500,000 remaining, or?
So our financial audited statements were as at December 31st, 2024.
Yeah.
So that is what we'd be bringing forward to you, right? But if you take into consideration what's happened so far in 2025, we took out $2.5 million as well. So that is going to affect what our current debt limit is. So the financial statements as of December 31st, 2024 will not include that amount,
The 2.5.
the 2.5. Just so you're aware that that's where that is.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the motion was where we're at today.
If I may though, I mean, this is stating that we are 500 grand away from our debt limit as of 2024. So perhaps we could have a report of what it actually was December 31st, 2024, as well as
Which
to
would be-
date?
Which would be in the financial statements that the auditor presented to us.
Right, but I've asked that question and nobody can answer it, so. You know,
Well, the debt limit as of December 31st, 2024 from the statements was 519,420. So that was the debt limit at that date. Then
that was what was remaining on the debt limit, if I'm not mistaken.
correct. Debt limit and remaining debt limit, kind of, we're using that interchangeably. So 500, yes, yeah. So we have 7 million debt total. 500,000, 519,000 remaining. That's in the financial note, probably around 18 or 17 in the statements. And then you factor in the borrowings that happened in 2025 on the line of credit through the arena. That's going to factor in. And then you also factor in the revenue projected in 2025. That is what we will present on if this motion is passed. If you're after something else, please clarify.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I'm reading the document that was provided by administration, it says, since that time, the audited financial statements were finalized, and if I'm misunderstanding, I mean, I'm not by any means a numbers person, my God, but audited financial statements were finalized and presented to council on April 23rd, 25. The audited financial statements contained disclosure on the debt limit of the town as of the 31st of December 24, and identified that the total debt limit remaining was $519,420. So I'm just going to tell you what I understand, okay? Let's say that there's $10,000, we have a $10 million debt limit. That is how much we can borrow up to, correct?
Borrow up to, but not including any debt outstanding. The debt limit
Yes.
remaining is reduced every time you take a borrowing.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's just a little confusing because this says as of the 31st of December, we only have $500,000 available. And yet you're saying that anything subsequently is
Reduced again.
The reason I mentioned that the audited statements were presented in April is I was trying to give a bit of a timeline because council approved something in March, but then the auditor presented something in April, which was contravening in a way, where at least it was a bit of a red flag that we're like, we should make sure that we have the adequate space before we actually proceed and take out the money. The borrowing bylaw was in process, but we took a double look when we saw that the debt limit remaining was 500,000. We factored in borrowings in 2025 fiscal year, and we've come to this conclusion that we will continue leasing at this point.
So, as of December 31st, 2024, we did not only have $500,000 available? Is that what I'm hearing?
What you're hearing is as of December 31st, 2024, all things remaining consistent, you could take out $500,000 and you'd
Yeah.
still be within Municipal Government Act's guidelines.
But how did we manage to take out the $2.5 million then in January?
Fair question.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Because, ma'am, I'm sorry, but we need to stop. Because there was an understanding of where we were at, we took the borrowing bylaw out, and then realized our number changed come April, or whenever the financial statements came back from the auditor. Those numbers changed, which then,
Thank you from the individual from the floor. I forgot about that. Thanks. All right.
all right?
Yep.
Okay, Sorry. All in favor of the motion?
Recorded, please.
Okay. 9.4, Councillor Harris.
A meeting with Dale Nally.
Yep.
A couple of meetings ago, it was council and administration had indicated through their committee reports that you all attended a meeting with Dale Nally and that Minister Nally had contacted each councillor individually. I followed up on that, and according to Minister Nally and his assistant, that's not the case. So I would like some clarification because it is the CAO's responsibility to notify all councillors at the same time of all of the information available. So I'd like some clarification why I was not provided that invitation, because according to Minister Nally, he did not contact all of the councillors individually.
So I can't speak for everybody, obviously for yourself, Mr. Lowe, but I can say that the invitation that I received was not from Ms. Pino. It was from Katrina, whatever her last name is, at Minister Nally's office.
By phone call?
No, I got a meeting invite.
Oh, well, the meeting that I'm referring to that I became aware of this get-together, you had stated that he called everybody individually.
No, I
Yeah.
said he invited.
It's on recording, actually, Acting Mayor.
I did not receive a phone call from him.
That's what you stated, sir.
And if
I'm-
that's what I stated, I
Yeah.
apologize, because that was a mistake.
Okay, would you kindly forward me the invitation, please? Because I would like to know why I did not receive an invitation to attend a meeting with our
I agree.
minister.
And as I said to you in the emails that we talked about it, I don't know whether this was our fault or theirs. If this was our fault, I apologize to you greatly.
Oh, thanks.
For that, I do.
Okay,
I don't know what else we can do about it.
well, somebody has to be held accountable. If one counselor is being excluded from attending a meeting, any meeting that the rest of you have been invited to, there is an issue.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, well, let's make sure it doesn't happen again.
I
Who got
completely
an invitation and how did they get the invitation? That's what I'd like to know.
Let me go back, I'll find the email, or I'll find the meeting
Great.
on that date, and I'll see if it shows who was invited on it.
Okay, the rest of council, how were you all invited to this meeting to attend? Just out of curiosity. How did you guys become aware of the meeting or Mr. Lowe? You can answer the question. How did the rest of council become aware of the meeting? Period.
Acting Mayor, your assistant members of council, Councilor Harris, I was given an invite via email. I'm pretty sure. I could look back to see if I could find it.
Okay, that'd be great. So, anybody else receive an email? How did the rest of council become aware? Did you forward it to the rest of council? Or did the rest of council receive a personal
I
invite?
didn't forward it
Mine
to
was an
anybody.
email, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry?
Mine was an email, but
Yeah.
I can sure double check for you.
Okay,
But I
and
can, Dale's looking at that for us.
Councillor Barry, yes, but Acting Mayor is stating that he got an invite personally, so, which,
I don't know whether all of council was on it, or if individuals, or if it was just me. I don't know.
Councillor Barry, do you recall?
I do. My invitation was via email, and I believe it was from Christina. Yeah. Would have been the same as what appears to have come to you.
Oh, okay. Do you recall, Councillor Kozak?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Sorry for taking up everybody's time, but this is quite important. Don't get yourself in trouble, Anne.
At this point, this isn't gonna change anything. If we can find it
we'd have to go
for you, we'll go back and find it, and either way, we will get it to you as soon as we find it.
Well, I would like to make a motion then that information is brought back to the next meeting, and presented to the community,
Okay,
please.
all right. Any questions on that?
Ms. Pinot, that's sort of a,
Yeah, that you move that council investigate who attended the meeting, how the meeting was received, and to forward it, to
yeah,
return.
provide the original documentation.
If you can print that out from a meeting that's already happened.
Well, they all got an email, so it's somewhere.
Well, if it was an invitation in an email, it's a calendar invite and the meeting's already happened, so that might be a little bit more
The calendar
difficult in
invite should
Outlook.
still be there. The email we got won't, but the email or the calendar invite should
Whatever
still be-
documentation is still available, I mean, we paid $12,000, $11,000 to Trinus. Surely it would be on record somewhere.
Not necessarily. Bear in mind, every time you accept a calendar invite, it automatically deletes.
Okay,
It deletes the email.
all right, well,
automatically.
we
But
just
we'll look for-
received an invitation from the minister recently,
We'll look
so
for the
it
calendar.
was a irregular email.
Yep, we'll look for the calendar
So-
invite.
Okay, thank you. I've made my motion. Recorded vote, please.
Just writing it down. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you. 9.5, the trail cams.
Trail cam.
A short while ago, Mr. Lowe had been, we'd been talking about some trail cams that were put on some personal, private residence properties. And it was discovered that there were no trail cams in the boxes that were there. So there was a request for some follow-up. I was just wondering if we have any answers about that.
Acting Mayor, your assistant members of council, myself and Mr. Parsons looked into it, and most of the cams were at Public Works. So Curtis did a lot of the looking into this, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Mayor Station, members of council, Councillor Harris. The trail cams were installed under the previous administration. When they were installed, we put up, as I recall, 2 cages with 2 cameras in them, and 2 other cages were ordered and installed. 2 cameras that Public Works owned previously were found at Public Works, but we were never instructed to get 2 other cameras at that time for those properties. So we were looking into those matters. We could not find any receipts on any new camera purchases other than the 2 that were previously purchased and the 2 purchased for install at that later date. That's about all the information I have on that, unfortunately. Why those cages were left with no cameras in them, I do not know. That was a couple years ago now. So,
How many properties did we put cameras on? Do we know?
I think there was 2, if I'm not mistaken. There was 2 on the first one, and maybe 1 or 2 on the second one.
yeah, I think there was 2 on the first property facing in different directions, and 1, maybe a second one on the second one at the far west side of the Heartland property there.
Okay, but no cameras were actually in the surrounding infrastructure. Like there was a sort of a box that was attached to the whatever it was, wherever it was, tree, fence, however it was, what do you call it? Put up.
The cages that held the cameras?
Yeah.
So,
There was no camera in there.
yeah, we didn't know that until the president let us know. We didn't know the cameras were not in those boxes.
And yet there were cameras in a couple of other ones?
Other ones, and then the other ones, all of a sudden, those boxes went missing. That I asked Curtis about that too. We know nothing about the boxes going missing. So I can't answer what I don't know. Like, they disappeared.
So, because you were the Public Works manager at the time, right? So you didn't know who was, I guess I mean, if the resident thought that there was a trail cam within the housing that is visible, how does that happen? How does the box to go over the trail cam be mounted and no trail cam inside.
I can't be, I know there was 2 cameras taken down on the original trail going in there, and they were supposed to be reinstalled on the property. They were supposed to purchase 2 more, and then if they were installed, apparently the boxes were installed, but I don't know about the cameras. And that we had our public works staff who was supposed to install them, and if they didn't have them yet, and then they might have came in, you said you found 2 in the shop?
That is correct. We found 2 more in the shop. For the whereabouts of why they're not installed, I do not know.
So just to be clear, we are expecting to have 4 cameras. We do have 4 cameras, but only 2 of them ever actually got installed at any point that we know of.
That's correct as far as I know.
Okay.
Who would direct the employees to complete that task? I mean, and I only ask because it was the residents who brought it forward and said, there's the housing for the camera, but there's no camera in it. So somebody had to go and tell a staff member to mount the housing, the box, to cover the camera. Somebody had to tell a staff member to go and do that. You would think that prior to that, somebody would be, responsible for directing a staff member to mount the camera prior.
Okay, so I was superintendent of public works. I will take the blame for that. I apologize if there was any misconception on the cameras. So if we want a blame game, I will take
Well,
the blame. No, I'll take the blame. I'm fine with that.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that it's I mean, if you want to call it blaming, it was somebody's responsibility to make sure that task was completed. Because, and we actually had meetings with these residents, and they were under the impression that these trail cams were actually there. So, Mr. Lowe, this isn't a personal attack. I just want to get to the bottom of things because, it was a resident inquiry and they deserve answers. So, frankly, if it was your responsibility to make sure that it was done, you can call a blame game if you like, but you get paid for that. So anyways, okay, I'll make a motion to accept this information.
Okay. Questions? All in favor?
9-6.
Yep.
I just, the cottage projects were, like in full swing of getting, of completion, and we had lots earmarked for construction on, at some point we had approved financing for that, and then next thing you know, our CAO leaves and that the project is no longer. How did that come about, please? Who decided that? What happened?
Acting Mayor Eustachian, members of council, Councillor Harris, it was my decision because we're not developers as a municipality. And I went forward to decide, and I think I brought it to council, that we would stop the project and put the lands up for sale, as we're not developers and we shouldn't get into that business. So the lands are up for sale.
Do you recall when you brought that forward to council? Because I'll go back and look at the minutes to the meeting.
Maybe a month and a half ago?
No.
More than that?
No. I mean, the cottage project hasn't been, going forward for months now, so.
It would have been well back,
Yeah.
the first of the year.
Sorry, I don't recall. I do remember that you brought it, but I don't remember when.
This year? Okay, and you think that, sorry.
Councillor Harris, I brought an RFD to council to set the price. We did it in a closed session to set the price.
Oh, no,
The listing price and everything.
I remember that
At
part.
that point in time, we had decided the cottage project was not financially viable for us to continue. We can't risk residents' money on development. So we canceled the development and we're selling the land. We are scheduled to recover all costs for all of the engineering that has been pre-done. We have had several developers out looking at the land. I showed it again on Friday.
Yeah, I'm aware, I do recall, having the discussion about setting the price for the sale of the land. I don't recall any prior discussion. Was this brought to council's attention that it was going to, prior to the request, or the RFD for the sale of the property?
Actually, I apologize. I think that's what I'm remembering. I'm not sure I'm remembering anything before that.
So it was just one day council thought it was going through, and then the next day administration decided otherwise, and then that's it? There was no.
If you'd like, I can look back through the files and everything, and I can give you the dates that we brought it to council.
Okay, that'd be great. So shall we make the, okay?
A motion on that.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that council direct planning and development within administration to report back on the cancellation of the cottage project and when it was first brought forward. Because I do, and you don't have to bring back the request for the sale of the property, because I do remember that. That was just a little while ago, so. But I'm asking, when was it decided that it wasn't gonna go through anymore, right? So,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions on
No,
that? All in favor? Okay. All right, 10.1, residential petition.
Acting Mayor, your sister, members of the council. The purpose of this report is to advise council on the status of a residential petition received on May 29th, 2025. Supplementary information, on May 29th, 2025, a petition requesting town hall meeting was submitted to myself. With regards to the petition, you can see the Municipal Government Act issues all there. To the Alberta Regional Dashboard, as of 2024, the population of Gibbons is 3,290, 10% of which would be 329. The petition was received by myself and Chris Pinot, Executive Assistant Legislative Service only, in accordance with the Municipal Government Act and advice from Brownlee LPP, with determining the sufficiency of the petition. I actually received it with two other people in person in council chambers, and then myself and Chris Pinot actually took the petition, and we're the only two that worked on it. In counting the number of petitioners on petition, there must be excluded the name of a person whose signature is not witnessed, whose signature is witnessed, but for which no affidavit is attached to the petition, whose signature appears on a page of the petition that does not have the same purpose statement that is contained on all the other pages of the petition, whose printed name is not included or is incorrect, whose street address or legal description of land is not included or is incorrect, if the date of when the person signed the petition is not stated, when a petition is restricted to a certain person. This is who is not one of the persons or whose qualification as one of the persons is not or is incorrectly described or set out, or who signed the petition more than 60 days before the date at which the petition was filed with the Chief Administrative Officer, unless a bylaw under Section 226 provides otherwise. A count of the number of petitioners received was conducted before reviewing the sufficiency, which counted by each person for accuracy and determined to be 332 petitioners. Upon review of the petitioners in accordance with the MGA and with advice from Brownlee, the following were removed from the total petitioners for reasons stated below. Printing is illegible and unable to determine who signed the petition, 1. No street address or legal description of land, a P.O. box only, or invalid address, 20. No printed last name, 1. Date incorrectly stated, year incorrect or missing, witness date is before petitioner signed, 16. Petitioners did not date the petition. Petitioners did not date when petition was signed, only witness signature is dated. Address is incorrectly stated. So there was 30 for the first one, 2. Total number of petitioners excluded, 70. Total number of petitioners received, 332. Grand total of sufficient petitioners, total number received, excluded, 262. Total number required, 10%, 329. Based on the requirement as defined in the MGA, the petition was insufficient. Option available, the council accept the residential petition report as information.
Okay, can I get a motion? Councillor Harris.
Considering that the council is responsible and has the final decision on how we proceed with this, I would, 332 people, there are 3,200 people in town, not all are voters of voting age.
Dale,
So-
do we not need a motion before there's
I
discussion?
am,
Think she's making the motion.
I am.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a significant number of the voting population of the town of Gibbons. I would like to make a motion that council direct administration and approve time, date, and location by July 15th, let's say, or the next council meeting, and to hold a town hall meeting as requested by the residents.
Okay. Any questions on that?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Oh, sorry, Lorraine.
No, I just have a comment. I feel that a town hall is unnecessary. There were 2 public meetings regarding the budget that people had an opportunity to attend and ask questions of. There was a public meeting, if I remember correctly, where the auditor presented his report, and there were opportunities to ask questions at that point. And there is always the opportunity for individuals who have questions to make an appointment with our acting CAO or our interim CAO, and he would be happy to answer those questions and provide whatever clarity is missing. So having this town hall, I feel, is unneeded. I don't know that there are any questions that would come up at the town hall that have not already been answered, probably more than once, or could be answered by our CAO providing much more clarity than what you might even receive at a town hall. I don't feel it's necessary.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Before you do, I'd like to make my opinion noted as well. Although I don't disagree with you, Councillor Berry, on opportunities have been given to ask questions. They've been about very specific things. And I personally don't see a problem with giving the town members the ability to come and ask questions. One thing that I will be asking of administration when we do this is the ability to have the town members provide those that choose to the questions ahead of time so we could prepare for them. But I don't think a town hall is a bad idea.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Councillor Malante.
I'm in support of it. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers, it's still 8%. That's a large number. So that's where I'm at. Thanks.
I would just like to note, in closing, with regards to the comment that Councillor Berry had made that residents can contact the administration for them to answer their questions. The whole purpose is for the residents to be able to ask us questions. And so, we are the final decision makers. So I'm not saying that we can't include administration.
Exactly.
Which I think would be a great idea. But certainly the whole point of this is because they have questions that they'd like to pose to us.
And I agree, but I also agree, I think at least some representation from administration is needed there because they're gonna have details that we may not know off the top of our head.
Okay, great idea. So should I make an amendment to that or time, date,
No, I think
venue?
I think that's something that administration can come back with, and maybe we can provide some suggestions offline.
Well, but if suggesting that residents forward any questions prior to, we kind of have to have an idea of how to get that out to the community,
Agreed.
you know?
Ms. Pino?
So you still need to set a date, obviously. Location is obviously going to have to be the Gibbons Cultural Center. That's the biggest room that we have, and that will hold the most people. That makes the most sense. If you're going to include administration, I had always assumed that the MJ really doesn't speak to what a town hall meeting is. So I would just assume that administration and council would be there to handle whatever questions were asked. As far as advertising, we can advertise we do have an advertising bylaw, so we can just follow the bylaw as far as getting that information out there, and we can provide an email address in that advertisement to make sure that if anybody has any questions, they can forward it to our general email account.
All right. Councillor Barry?
What I'm hearing from other council members is that they are in favor. If this motion passes, I do think that there should be a moderator to maintain order and to ensure that questions are being asked and answered in an appropriate manner.
Personally, I agree with that. I know one of the concerns that I've heard from some of the town folk is the what's the word I'm looking for? Transparency from council. And if there's questions that have been asked and answered and they're continuously being asked again, a moderator that would not be one of us would step in, and it would have to, whoever it is would have to be unbiased, not have any bearing on council in any way. So I think we could definitely accommodate that.
Why don't we do this? I mean, I don't think that this should be put off until, the election is only 3.5 months, 4 months away, right? 3.5 months. So, frankly, we had a lot of residents who worked very hard to garner those signatures, first of all, and we had, like I said, 332 people that came forward and signed it, which is a good chunk. It's actually more than 8%. The 332 is 10% of the population. So the 332 people that had to sign it, they had to be of voting age. So it wasn't, those are adults between the ages of 18 and above, right? So anyways, so I think that perhaps directing administration to, when's the next meeting? Do we have I know that we cancel meeting
23rd.
of
23rd
July.
of July, yes.
Okay.
Which honestly, I don't think there's time for us to have it before that.
No. I'm just thinking that's a month away of bringing forward any information. We don't have to. We can have conversations amongst ourselves to decide when and where, right? Before.
Well,
the
we've
23rd.
decided on the where.
Yeah. Okay.
We really just need to decide on the when.
On the when.
And
And
really,
some of the
like a 7
rules
o'clock
behind it.
time frame, the same as
Yeah.
a council meeting, so even your time is set. Really what you're looking to set is the date. Keeping
Okay.
in mind, again.
Summer.
It's summer.
Yeah.
And that's a tough time. You want to make sure that you get as many residents as possible, obviously, out to this.
Right.
And so you don't want to make it a weekend. So I'm suggesting an evening, midweek, so that people, most people will do their vacationing on weekends.
Yeah.
Right? So let's try to keep it midweek. And
Perhaps administration could bring back a couple of dates.
I suggest you pick a couple of dates in the early part of August. If we're saying the month, a month for
Sure.
questions to come in, you have to give administration time to get advertising out. So if you're saying a month, I would say you have questions in probably by the end of the week of that last meeting. So that would be the 25th of
Yep.
July, and then have it within the first week or two of August.
Okay, very good.
The other thing that I've already been thinking of is knowing that a lot of our streaming equipment is locked in place here. I've got some thoughts on possibly being able to stream it anyway. So I think that would still be a good idea for town members that can't attend.
Excellent.
So, all right, so I think your motion still stands.
I'd like to vote, please.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Travis, only if you're bringing it.
Yes, please. No comments from the floor, please.
Okay, yep. Where are we? 10.2, setting municipal office.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of the Council, the purpose of this report is to respectively request that Council give consideration to setting the municipal office. The preliminary information gathering meeting held by the Municipal Affairs indicated that there were some motions of Council that could not be determined if they ever have been done or had simply been missed previously. To ensure that the town is compliant with legislative requirements, Council by motion needs to set the municipal office as set out in the Municipal Government Act under Section 204. Council must name a place as its municipal office. Therefore, a motion from Council is required to designate the municipal office. Going forward, this item will be on the original organizational meeting agenda yearly to ensure the information is always forefront and current. Option available. The Council will designate the municipal office to be located at 4807 50th Avenue, Gibbons, Alberta. The Council advise administration how it would like to proceed. The recommendation for action, the Council designate the municipal office as 4807 50th Ave, Gibbons, Alberta.
All right, can I get a motion? Councillor Berry.
I move that council designate the municipal office be located at 4807 50th Avenue, Gibbons, Alberta.
Thank you. Any questions? I actually do have one. This doesn't restrict us in any way of holding meetings anywhere else if we need to, such as the town hall, does it?
Well, the town hall is technically not a council meeting,
Okay.
right? So the idea behind the Municipal Government Act is that everybody would know where the municipal office is. And so the only, just as background, the only designation that I could find that the municipal office was ever designated was somebody's living room back in 1950 something when the town was first, yeah. So, I think we're a little overdue.
Updated. All right, any other questions? All in favor? All right, 10.3, 2025 tax sale public auction report.
Good evening, Acting Mayor, Eustachian, members of council. The purpose of this report is to inform council on the status. Sorry. The purpose of this report is to inform council on the status of the tax sale public auction that took place on June 20th, 2025 at 10 a.m. The town of Gibbons auctioned 2 properties at the June 20th, 2025 public auction. Certificate of Title 212140772, Lot 5, Block 10, Plan 6091NY. Assessed value $222,720. Certificate of Title 212140762, Lot 5, Block 30, Plan 7922517. Assessed value $229,690. The third property that was previously listed was removed from the public auction as the tax agreement was entered into with the owner. No bids were received on either property, therefore, as per the tax forfeiture regulations, a municipality may become the owner if a parcel immediately after the public auction, if the parcel is not sold at the auction. In this case, as both properties are residents with renters residing in them, administration has contacted a lawyer to assist with the proper way of addressing this matter, and the residential properties have been added to the town's insurance. As information is received from the town solicitors, administration will keep council informed of the developments. Recommendation for action is that council receives the 2025 tax sale public auction report as information. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion? Councillor Harris?
I don't know if I like this motion to accept as information, because I think that we've been missing some steps in the tax forfeiture processes.
Feel free to make the motion that you want then. This is only the recommended. You can,
Okay, you know what? I'll make a motion to accept as information, and then I'll ask my questions, then we can go from there. Sound good?
sounds good.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept as information for now.
Thank you. What's your question?
I just, I noticed that, I know that there's, I've been doing a little research on the tax forfeiture, and perhaps Miss Jeffrey might be the best one to, or perhaps Mitchell knows, I'm not quite sure. But there's a difference between when the town, or the properties don't, aren't sold at auction, in here, in the information that's provided by, administration, it said, indicates that a municipality may become the owner of a parcel immediately after the public auction if the parcel is not sold at the auction. And it's my understanding that there are two different ways in which the municipality can become the holders of that property. There is a tax, putting the property into a tax forfeiture state, and then there is the municipality purchasing the property. How do we know, like, Mitchell, you're nodding your head, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, briefly, there's two options where you either purchase the property outright or you kind of, in a way, loan it and then you deal with the tenants. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, there are two options, right?
Yeah, there are. And I think with the lawyer, we're trying to contact and see what the costs are or what the proceedings would be with both options. And then that would come to council for the recommended action. But
Yeah.
because they just both didn't sell, we're trying to keep you guys informed.
Okay.
As the auction just happened this past week.
The reason why I bring this up is this is news to me. I've just recently been educated on this process. So, in essence, we've had several tax forfeiture auctions over the course of this term, and you know, it's not really relayed to council what's happened, other than they haven't sold at auction. So now, having the knowledge that there are two different ways that those properties can be dealt with, and one being that the town purchased the property itself, how, you know, going forward, do we have a tax recovery policy in place right now?
Neither property has a tax recovery agreement.
No. What I'm saying is that does the town have a policy on how to, the procedure on how to manage any tax forfeitures? Because
So previously what happened in, I think it was last year's tax sale when no one came forward, is that property went up for sale. So that
I don't want to interrupt you, but that's not what I'm asking. Is there a procedure that the administration has to follow?
we have to follow the MGA Act. So tomorrow is actually our meeting with the lawyers on our next steps going forward with this, with the sale of these two properties. If the town of Gibbons then becomes the holders of the property and we continue to rent them out, or do we put them up for sale? So that is what's going to be that conversation tomorrow with the lawyers,
Well,
to make sure we are following the proper procedures in.
but that's not what the procedures are, though.
Yeah, so I think, and maybe this isn't what you're asking, but it brought a question to mind of mine. Before it hit the tax sale or tax auction, is there a procedure that we have to
No.
follow in order to?
That's
get-
not what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
What I'm asking is that administration comes to council, they indicate that there is a property that is in a tax forfeiture state and that it's going up for auction. If it's not sold at an auction, then there are two avenues that can happen with that property. One, the town buys it, or two, it's held in a tax recovery state. And what that means is that if we just hold that, and then the town converses with the individual to determine how, if there's any way that you know, the taxes, the arrears. So, I mean, it's all well and good that we just don't know what happens after it, and council should be involved in that decision. That should be a council decision on what to do with those properties. I mean, I know for a fact we've purchased properties in you know, historically from tax forfeiture proceedings, if I'm not mistaken, right? Purchased outright.
Not that I'm aware of that we've purchased out after a tax sale like this. From what I understood is that when no one comes forward, then the property is now the town of Gibbons.
It's not that cut and dry.
Okay, then I apologize. So that's why we're.
Oh, no, Terry, I know that it's this is, like I said, this is something that Ms. Jeffries probably should,
I think you've already also stated that's why they're going to the lawyers.
Lawyers,
To make sure
and-
the
no,
process-
it's a council decision on what to do because we spend the money if we decide to buy it.
I agree, but they're saying they're going to the lawyers to make sure they're following the right process.
So
Yeah, but-
that's what we're going to the lawyers tomorrow then to find out that next step.
But that's never been relayed back to council.
So that, I think that's what we're trying to do right now. We're relaying back that the properties, no one came to the auction.
Got that part?
And so we're in this state now that it is now under the town and we've insured the properties. So now we've contacted the lawyers to find out what that next step is, and we're trying to keep council informed as much as we possibly can on the proceedings and what is happening.
You know what? No, actually, your administration is incorrect. There is a procedure and proper rules surrounding a tax forfeiture sale in the MGA of how a municipality can proceed. I mean, if it doesn't sell, what, we just, like, automatically, the title is the town's? No, that's not how it happened, how it works.
That's not what she's saying. They're saying they're going to the lawyer to figure out what that next step is. To be clear on what the MGA says and how they need to respond on it.
Okay, but we haven't done that for the last 3.5 years. What has happened in the last 3.5 years, and do we have a policy that has been followed in the last 3.5 years? Because those
The last 3.5 years.
Pardon?
I can't speak to the last 3.5 years. I can see what we're doing today.
Okay, well, I've just become educated on how things are supposed to be. I'm asking administration what has happened and what's going to happen, because we have never been notified of what has occurred after the auction is concluded. And all we've been told is that the properties haven't sold. You know, it's
May
not,
very well have been a mistake in the past, but they're dealing.
there's no mistake, because these are people's residences that were, you know what,
I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish with getting an answer.
you know
in
what?
3.5 years.
Acting Mayor Utition, I will forward you the information on that I am aware of how tax forfeiture sales are supposed to.
That would be great.
And I will forward it to all of council as well as the administration. And I would also like to make a motion that direct administration to draft a tax forfeiture policy procedure.
Let us finish the first motion first, and then you can do that one.
Okay.
Okay? Any
Yep.
other questions? All right. I'm sorry, Ms. Pino, can you repeat what the motion was?
That was just to accept this information.
That was the first motion on
information?
the motion on the floor is that council accept the 2025
Perfect.
tax sale public auction report as information.
All right. All in favor? Okay. Now you got a motion?
I would like council to direct administration to either A, conclude whether or not we have a tax forfeiture policy or procedure in place. If not, have one drafted and presented at the next council meeting.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Like a recorded vote, please.
All in favor? All right. 10.4, policy regarding town office escorts. Councilor Harris, that was yours.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just a little rattled after that conversation. After I was, it was noted that because of Bill 50 and the requirement was there was no longer a requirement for councils to enforce or have a council code of conduct, and I was reinstated. I got an email from you, Acting Mayor Utition, that indicated that the acting CAO, Mr. Lowe, had implemented a policy that all councillors have to be escorted when they come into the, greeted and escorted to wherever their destination in the town office was going to be. I would just like to know, number one, when was that talked about? And number two, why? Why do councillors need a escort to walk around the town office.
And before we go any further with that, I just do want to clarify that the secondary email, I did say it may not very well be a policy, which I don't believe it is.
Okay, somebody decided that somebody has to walk around
Request.
and hold a counselor's hand to
I believe
walk
it
through the
was a
office.
Request from acting CAO Low,
A request.
yes, which the rest of council has had no problem accepting.
Okay, when was that request made? It is the CAO's responsibility to inform all of councils, by the way, all of council members of information, by the way. So when was that discussed? When was it, why was it needed?
I'd let you talk about why.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of Council, Councilor Harris, I did that so that there's a lot of personal and private information on desks in the office. So if anybody comes into the office, we always try to have the front desk person to take them to the office required. It should be no different than with council because there is residents' personal information in certain offices, and that way there, the office staff knows that they have to.
We're privy to all that information.
No, you're not. So, but it just, that's
VoIP
why I did
information
it.
We're not privy to.
Did this just come up, like, when did you discuss this with council, Mr. Lowe?
I don't think I ever discussed it with council. I talked to the acting mayor.
And you just
And I
requested if that would be
Put a
possible.
request in, and we'll never refuse council to come into the office. It's just that you're taken to the office you have to go to. That's a simple thing.
No, it's not simple. I was reinstated. I asked if I could come and pick up my, as a matter of fact, during that particular meeting, I said, okay, so I can walk through the town office and have a chat with all of the employees. And I was told, yes. I got an email from you, subsequently that said that the acting CAO has brought forward a request that council, a while back, so all of council obviously knew this at some point in time, that when a councillor is to come into the town office, that an employee is to greet them and escort them. When was that decision made, and how was it relayed? You made the decision, Mr. Lowe, so I'm asking you. No, I'm still in discussion. Calling the question is,
We don't actually even have a motion on the floor yet.
no, I would like
No,
some,
that's not what I'm gonna say.
oh, go, sure.
Nothing to do with that. I believe that since this is, like the CAO is responsible for procedures and policies that that concern his staff. I feel that this is something that is within his wheelhouse. He is making a policy that concerns the behavior of his staff, the procedure that they are supposed to follow.
When did you find about the escort? That councils require an escort through the building?
I don't remember exactly when I heard about it, but but regardless of that, it's not within our mandate to decide.
I wasn't told about it.
What his policies should be.
I'm asking when it was decided,
Approximately March-ish.
and
again,
nobody decided to tell me.
At the time, you weren't permitted to come in.
Okay, Miss Pinot had her hand up.
I was only going to say the same thing. It was it wasn't even a policy. It was a discussion. It's in protection of personal information that employees do have on their desk, which council is not privy to. That is covered under FOIP. And at the time, Councillor Harris, you were under sanctions and you were not permitted to be in the office. And so when that information was relayed, you were probably omitted for that reason. And so it's a staff oversight.
I don't want probably, Miss Pinot. I want to know when
I
it
was
brought-
still talking.
It doesn't matter. You are the
It does matter.
secretary, Miss
It
Pinot.
does.
Order! Enough! Enough! Stop interrupting her when she's talking, please.
Oh my gosh. Okay, go ahead.
So you were under sanctions at the time, and so we're omitted for that reason. We had no idea Bill 50 was coming down, that sanctions were going to be lifted, that council code of conducts were going to be gone. So There was no reason at that time to let you know.
Interestingly enough, Ms. Pinot, you also said that I wasn't privy to the invitation with the MLA because I was under sanctions as well.
Same reason.
So I was, oh, okay, so I was, nobody tells me anything what's going on just because of that? Is that what I'm understanding?
You were under sanctions. There were rules
So
that
I'm
we
not
had to follow.
privy
I'm
to the
still
information.
trying to talk. Will you
You're not
gonna let
answering
me?
the question, Ms. Pinot.
You're not letting me answer the question, Councillor Harris.
It was Mr. Lowe's decision.
Okay.
Why is he not talking?
Enough. Enough.
I'd like to hear from
There's-
Mr. Lowe.
You have. There has been no request that would limit you from going around and saying hi to people. None.
Well, now the problem is, what don't I know? How's that?
Okay.
What don't I know? That's okay. It'll come out in the wash. I'll make a motion to accept his information.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? All right, 11.1, policy PP 2-25, zero tolerance of abuse toward municipal employees. Wow, that's timely.
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council. Yeah, it follows along well here. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council give consideration to policy PP 2-25, zero tolerance of public abuse toward municipal employees. At the May 28th, 2025 regular meeting of the council, administration advised council of a threatening emails that had been received and that the RCMP had been advised. Administration also took time to discuss the situation with our municipal lawyers, both the RCMP and Brownlee, and advised that the town of Gibbons adopt the policy surrounding zero tolerance of abuse. The policy is attached for council's review. Options for consideration by council include the following: that council approve policy PP 2-25, zero tolerance of abuse toward municipal employees as presented. The council advise how administration would like to proceed. Recommended for action, the council approve policy PP 2-25, zero tolerance of abuse toward municipal employees as presented.
All right, can I have a motion? Councillor Berry.
I move that council approve policy PP 2-25, zero tolerance of abuse toward municipal employees as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Harris.
I didn't, unless I missed it, is there a notation in here that council is just notified? I realize that this is a policy for administration only, but I do think that if a member of the staff receives any type of threatening anything, that council should be notified at the very least. So could we possibly put an amendment, like amend it and have a clause in there? That's it, just bringing forward any, issues.
Acting Mayor Yusish, members of council, my only, comment on that is, at what level do you want to be notified? Because people raise their voices
Agreed.
and tell us off every once in a while, and I don't know if necessarily.
Well, when an employee would essentially,
actually file a report on it?
Yeah, so I was-
go through the process of the,
Because we did develop a reporting form to go along with this policy as well, so.
No, I just
wanted
think
to
there should be
clarify that.
notification to council that one is in
Yeah.
and that it's being managed. I mean,
So we already have the motion, but afterwards, maybe we can make a motion, or no, we can maybe make an amendment to include in here that if there's any reports actually filed, that council is just
briefed.
at the weekly or bi-weekly meeting,
Yeah.
we're able to see what the staff has had to go through.
Even just that there is
That
an
there is one.
an incident that's been reported. I mean, I don't,
Actually, that's a good idea, and then
You know.
if we do have questions, we
Yeah.
can get that afterwards. Yeah. So, just a list of any reports that have been submitted.
Just keep in mind that you're traveling a fine line with access to information. When
no,
you
I'm just
are-
asking for
redacted
that.
for sure.
Yeah,
To say that there's been an incident, yes, but to ask
That's it.
questions on said incident, now you're walking into access to information.
For sure.
So you just have to be mindful of that.
Councilor Malante?
Thanks. I work in this kind of industry and dealing with zero tolerance. And just to correct, we're no longer using FOIP as of June 11th, I believe. It's gone over, or June 12th. It's gone over to ATIA, just in case those are wanting to know about that. That's the Access to Information Act, and there are some relevant changes that have happened there, and some that have stayed. The question that I have here is the policy review 8.1. And it says the policy will be reviewed at the earliest of the following every 3 years after 5 reported incidents upon regulatory changes or following recommendations from a committee. What I'm asking is, who is on the committee and how is that committee governed? So that's kind of my question back to administration, because when it comes to committees, selection, oversight, those involved, those committees can change based on the content, the type of investigation, the level of privacy the employees are entitled to, and the level of privacy that those who have been inflicted with harm from zero abuse are entitled to as well.
There is a reference in this policy that speaks to the Joint Health and Safety Committee. So would that possibly be the committee that's being referred to at the end?
Acting Mayor Yushchishan, members of council, Councillor Barry, yes, you are correct. Working with our health and safety officer who runs our Joint Health and Safety Committee, he created the reporting along with that so that same kind of confidential information would go to our Joint Health and Safety Committee for review. That is the committee that works for that.
So maybe instead of just saying a committee, it could be named.
We could make a change to that to say that.
Councilor Lamonte?
So just the reminder of the Access to Information Act. I suggest that we explore more than just OHS and just consider that all elements of the committee have been reviewed so that it's not just falling under the OHS banner. Again, I just want to make sure that privacy of information is secured and properly vetted out as well with the committee.
The town is obligated to, as a municipality, to fall under the Access to Information Act. So making reference to that is almost a moot point because we have no choice but to follow that anyway.
Again, I just want to make that noted, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Ms. Pino.
I was just going to say, it looks like you're about ready to vote on a motion that's on the floor to accept it as presented. So may I make a suggestion that you amend that to as amended?
That's what I was trying to figure out, whether we actually made any amendments or not. But I think we did about having it, you bring the statistic
Yeah,
back to
that's
council.
it.
And our committee.
And I believe it was my motion, so I will
Amend that?
amend it.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
So just amended to include a
statistic.
notification, a notification that a complaint had been,
Yeah.
sure.
Sorry, did you also want the amendment to change committee to Joint Health and Safety Committee?
Did we? I thought, Jay, you had said that maybe that name might not be.
I just want to make sure that when this committee is developed, that all elements of the committee has been reviewed, and from what Ms. Pinot mentioned, it will be reviewed under the, the new act that has replaced FOIP.
Okay, then let's make that
So we're okay.
amendment as well.
Thank you.
And you're okay with that amendment, Councillor Barry? Yes. All right, any other questions? All in favor? All right, bylaw MOG 1-25, public hearings by electronic means.
Acting Mayor Yushchishan, members of council, the purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council give consideration to bylaw MOG 1-25, public hearing by electronic means bylaw. With recent changes to the Municipal Government Act, municipalities are mandated to have a bylaw that provides a way for the public to be able to attend public hearings electronically under section 119, brackets 2-2.1. Options available. The options for consideration for council to include the following. The council give first, second, third reading to bylaw MOG 1-25, public hearing by electronic means. Option 2, the council advise administration how it would like to proceed. Recommended action, the council give first, second, third reading to bylaw MOG 1-25, public hearing by electronic means.
All right, can I get a motion? Councilor Berry?
I'd like to make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw MOG 1-25, public hearings by electronic means.
All right, any questions? Councilor Harris?
What is our bylaw right now for public hearings?
We don't have a bylaw for public hearings. This is a new mandate under the Municipal Government Act.
So is this excluding the having a public hearing in person?
No, not at all. We have to provide a way for somebody to attend electronically
Right.
as well.
So when we have a public, a notice for a public hearing,
Yes,
and normally people would come in and.
Yes.
Right? That process is followed based on the MGA.
that's correct.
So, just so that I'm clear, because I don't want to eliminate having,
Not at all.
This is an addition to that.
This is an addition, that is correct. So you, as an individual, have an ability to come and attend the public hearing and participate either in person
Yeah.
or electronically. It's not an either or. It's, what if you, for instance, you can't make it in? Let's
Right.
just say, then you can still participate in the public hearing via electronic means.
is this the public?
Yes.
Participating?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is both public participation and if a counselor.
If a counselor
was
can't-
traveling, they could attend.
No, council's procedural bylaw does not include attending a council meeting by electronic means.
Oh, but since we're considering that in the future.
This
maybe
is for public participation.
Okay,
Okay, so is it in the procedural bylaw? Is it outlined in the procedural bylaw for how public hearings are conducted?
Yes.
And it specifies in the procedural bylaw that they are to be in person?
It does not specify either. It's just the MGA has changed now that we must include a way for the public to participate electronically.
Right.
so if I'm not mistaken, the procedural bylaw mandates that we hold a public meeting.
Right.
Public
This is
hearings,
for a
yes.
public hearing.
Yeah.
This is going to be in addition to that, so that we can also,
It's another way for the public to attend if they are unable to make it in person.
because the procedural bylaw doesn't specifically state public hearing, they must be here.
We
It's just
have
that
to
hold
provide
it.
a bylaw that says the public can attend meetings via electronic.
Yeah.
It's not an either or. It's not like we're only ever going to just have an electronic means public hearing. It will always be open to the public and they can either attend in person or they will attend electronically.
Where is it written that people can attend in person, though?
That's part of the MGA, public hearings.
Okay,
They're
no,
open-
you see what I'm
Yes.
saying? I just don't want to say, okay, we're gonna have a public hearing, it's gonna be virtual. and
No,
nobody
we can't
can-
do that.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, and I apologize, I may have missed it. Is it in here anywhere? I think it is, I can't remember though, that they'd have the ability to ask questions online, whether that's just through typing on a question area or.
Correct.
Actual vocal, whatever.
Yeah, it's about participation.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that means participation is more than viewing.
Yeah, no, my apologies, I just found it, yeah. Okay, any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Of first reading.
First reading.
Oh.
Okay. Can I get a motion for second reading?
I'll move for second reading.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor, second reading?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, can I get a motion to have third reading?
Put forward the motion to have third reading.
Okay, any questions?
Recorded, please.
All in favor? Opposed? Defeated. Okay, bylaw, alt, 6-25, short-term borrowing bylaw.
Good evening, Acting Mayor Musician and members of council. Sorry. I'm in my wrong spot. I apologize. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council consider establishing a revolving line of credit of $1 million that can be utilized to offset operating expenses by adopting the short-term borrowing bylaw ALT 6-25. First reading did come forward at the last council meeting, so recommendation of action is that council proceeds with the establishment of the revolving line of credit in the amount of $1 million by giving bylaw ALT 6-25 short-term borrowing bylaw second and third readings tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Councillor Bear?
I move that council proceeds with the establishment of a revolving line of credit in the amount of $1 million by giving bylaw ALT 6-25 short-term borrowing bylaw second reading.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'm just trying to find it in,
6-25.
is it after this one though?
It is after,
Yeah, I'm just looking in my agenda package.
it's after the tax notice inconsistencies. Or at least it is electronically.
I might-
That's an administrative error. I apologize. There's something in there twice.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we got, thanks. Sorry.
Any questions?
This would be for Mitchell, I would assume. Is this included in our debt limit, current debt, whatever kind of debt? I realize that this is just a, repeal and replace or whatever, so
Yes.
this is included?
Yes, it's included.
My issue that I have with this bylaw is that when it was, and I know that much of the staff probably weren't even here at the time, but when council approved the $1 million line of credit was back during COVID, and it was for bridge financing or financing to carry, to cover any taxes that weren't paid. And then in that, I believe it was 2020 actually, was the first time that it was brought forward. And actually at that time, because I did go back and I looked at the documentation from 2020, when we first approved this, it stated there that once the requirement, the COVID situation had ended in the requirement for this $1 million line of credit, because of the stated use, right? It would be closed. So I kind of, how did we go from it was supposed to be closed to now we have it 5 years later? Right? I just have a problem. If this was supposed to be gone a long time ago, then we were kind of hoodwinked into keeping it going. Because it wasn't the original reasoning for why what's being presented now was not the original reasoning for the purpose of the line of credit in the first place. So
I wouldn't necessarily say hoodwinked. I understand what you're saying, but every year this bylaw is,
Right.
yes, it's repealed and renewed.
yeah.
And the purpose of it is announced every year.
Oh, I know that, but would you remember, I went
No, I
back in our
wouldn't have-
documentation to see, to look into it, into the how it came into existence
disagree with
to
you.
the,
I agree
the
that if
first
there
place. So if that information wasn't relayed, a year later when it was created, right, or first requested, if it wasn't, I mean, we need the information from a year ago, right? It's not like I said, if you don't remember it and none of council remembers why we took out the $1 million in the first place, here we are $5 million with the, or 5 years later with the $1 million line of credit that wasn't originally taken out for the purpose that was requested and that council approved. So somewhere along the line it changed. You know what I mean?
And
So-
again, I don't disagree with you. I think the key now is that we ensure, quite frankly, if we stand strong enough on it,
Yeah.
we don't approve any further borrowing against this line of credit so that we can pay it off and end it.
Well, I know that, but there's no detailed accounting of this line of credit either. So we don't know what's taken off, what's paid on, put back. We don't have any
I believe we're getting the report quarterly now, are we not, about what goes on and what comes off this one?
Well,
It was provided in the last council minute meetings where everything was. It was at $1 million. We paid 250,000, so we're just under that $1 million right now. But I agree with you, Councillor Harris, that that was the original intent of it 4 or 5 years ago. When it changed, I can't say when it changed from that to this now, but currently I can just speak
right.
on it today, right? So,
You know, the reason for my questions are that is that council are the final decision makers to approve the town administration utilizing $1 million at their whim, right? I mean, we're not asked to approve, taking money off of the line of credit. We don't know until after the fact. We don't. Right? So at the end of the day, when it was created in 2020, we approved the creation of, or the $1 million line of credit for a certain purpose. Somewhere along the line, it was changed and council was not provided all of the information to make an informed decision. So essentially, we now, which is, that's, we're on the hook for this, right? I mean, Councillor Barry has a question.
Councillor Barry?
Yes, I just wanted to point out that the reasoning behind this is listed in the background, it says, the negotiated line of credit is available year-round and generally will be used in situations when there is a gap between the beginning of the business year and when the full tax collection cycle begins, and in specific situations where short-term capital funds are required so the town can take advantage of opportunities that present themselves from time to time without having to exhaust funds held in reserves. And as long as I've been on council, this same information has been provided when we renew this borrowing bylaw. I suspect it is the same information that was provided after COVID. It's ongoing, the same reasoning is there, and we are receiving reports now of how the borrowing bylaw money is being expended, so I don't think that there's any issue with it at this point.
I'd just like to respond to that. Councillor Barry, we are almost $1 million in debt due to that line of credit, and frankly, I think that we should try and start to decrease the amount of debt that we have. So, I agree. We got to start with somewhere, and
please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, if we don't pass this, we have to pay up whatever the line of credit is immediately.
Mm-hmm. Then I suppose going forward, we should probably discuss a way to close this line of credit.
I would not disagree with
right?
that at all. But I fear that we would be put in a very significant poor position if we didn't pass this bylaw.
Okay, so what do you suggest then to go forward?
We've got the motion for second reading.
Right.
So firstly, we've got to start with that.
Okay. I'd like a recorded.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? All right. Do I have another motion?
I'll make the motion for third.
Into your mic.
I'll make the motion for third reading.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, all in favor?
Recorded, please.
Opposed? All right. 11.4 MOG 1-16 Council Procedural Bylaw.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of Council, if I'm not mistaken, Council asked for this to be brought forward at this meeting. Ms. Pinot, can you,
Yeah, I think it was Councilor
Yeah,
Berry
Council.
that had the original.
Yeah, council did ask for this council procedural bylaw to be brought forward, and then, as you recall from the email that I sent out after we had our preliminary information gathering session with Municipal Affairs, they had made the suggestion that council table making any changes to this bylaw until after their report is in, so that they will have suggestions. They have already said that they will have suggestions. So to make sure, I'm not sure why, but that was their suggestion, that that council table the item. We can't table it until council makes a motion on that. So it's really up to council what you want to do with this today.
I know the original concern, before I say that, we should go with the motion.
Yeah, I will move that we table it until such time as we have all of the information that Municipal Affairs has to provide to us regarding this.
Okay, thank you. I will point out, one of the concerns regarding the procedural bylaw was that it had pieces in it that, in essence, would be repealed because of Bill 50. Ms. Pino was kind enough to, in essence, highlight those in a red box. So as we're going through and reading the procedural bylaw again, or if we're referencing it in any way, just know that anything that's currently in that red box is no longer in effect because of bylaw, or because of Bill 50. That's all correct, right, Ms. Pino?
That's correct, Acting Mayor.
Thank you. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. Is there any idea of what, like suggestions, what the, the, meeting, what municipal and affairs inspectors, investigators, whomever, individuals that came and spoke with, administration on the 12th of June, like, were there any suggestions on what would be?
At this time, they did not. They just suggested that we table it. At the time we met them, it was purely an information gathering process for them. So they did point out some easy things, and you've seen one of them tonight being the setting the municipal office. So some couple things that we could take care of easily ourselves. But as far as changes to the council procedural bylaw, they suggested we wait until after we receive the report.
So the meeting that was held on the 12th, just so that I'm clear, Municipal Affairs came and spoke with the administration. Had they been in contact prior to, since the...
Gathering some information,
Yeah.
yes. They were on our website. They asked us for some things, and then they were in all day and spoke to the various departments, gathering more information.
Oh, okay, so it was sort of just preliminary
Correct.
information gathering, and then the 12th was the...
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion is to table it to a future meeting, not really having a date at this point.
Rather than a future meeting, though, I mean, could we at the very least have this, revisited at the August meeting, say, because if it's, who knows how long that's gonna take them, just so that we have a follow-up,
I don't disagree, I think that actually makes sense, but I was thinking maybe more like the first September meeting.
Sure, September, whatever,
And just maybe not even, like, we'll make it about this, but maybe it's just, we still haven't heard back, or they've given us a date.
yeah, I don't
at
want
that
this to
point.
fall off the, table,
sense.
right? So if we at
That makes
least,
sense.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to worry about it falling off the table. We're trying to make sure we keep up with those things. But if council wants to set a date, they are more than welcome to do so.
Who made Councilor Berry, you made the table, would you be willing to table it till the first September meeting?
I think my first motion holds.
Okay.
But I can add that I also move that we
Nope,
have.
we can't have a second motion, we gotta vote on this one first, then have a second motion.
Okay,
or you can do a friendly amendment or
Or,
amend
sorry,
it.
yeah.
Make a
because you made it.
suggestion that instead of having it tabled, that we table this item until the first meeting in September. If we need to table it again from that point,
Then we table it at that point.
okay. I so move.
Okay,
Is it amended? I just
Yes.
don't know.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
all right, all in favor? Okay. Bylaw MOG 2-25, Chief Administrative Officer Bylaw.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of Council, the purpose of this report is to respectfully request council give consideration to bylaw MOG 2-25, Chief Administrative Officer Bylaw. A preliminary review with Municipal Affairs for the legislative compliance check indicated the council is to designate the banking institution that the town uses under section 270 brackets 2. A municipality must ensure that all money belonging or held to the municipality is deposited in a bank, credit union, loan corporation, treasury branch, or trust corporation designated by council. However, bylaw MOG 3-23, the current chief administrative officer bylaw, gives that power to the CAO and is therefore in contradiction of the MGA. Administration is therefore bringing the bylaw forward, removing this clause, as well as removing the reference to FOIP and replacing it with the new Access to Information Act and Protection of Privacy Act. Once the bylaw is passed, administration will bring forward a report for decision requesting that council designate the financial institution at the next regular council meeting. Option available. The option for consideration by council include the following. Council give first, second, third reading to bylaw MOG 2-25, Chief Administrative Officer bylaw. The council advise administration how it would like to proceed.
All right, thank you. Can I get a Councillor Belmonte?
I'll put forward the motion that council give first reading to bylaw MOG 2-25, Chief Administration Officer bylaw.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Berry?
I do. Is this an appropriate time to make other changes to this bylaw as we see fit? Or is it just go ahead, approve this, and then bring it back at another time?
Councillor Berry, if possible, it would be better to wait till after the compliance, and then they would let us know if there's any further changes that are in there that we should be changing, like they picked this up. This is
Okay.
a major one, and then we will start amending things
Okay.
as they suggest.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Belmonte?
Just putting a reminder that when interim CAO, Lowe mentioned this as well. Again, administration is obviously bringing this bylaw forward, removing this clause as well as removing the reference to FOIP. Everyone's heard me talk about this before, replacing it with the new Access to Information Act and the new Protection of Privacy Act. So again, it's other legislation that's pushing this, right? So we have to get this done.
All right.
I would like to comment on that, seeing as everybody else did. Surprisingly, I actually agree with Councillor Berry that I was going to ask as well if this would be an appropriate time to make some recommendations for changes of the CAO bylaw. And can somebody explain why the push through of all three readings on this is necessary right now?
So that we take the power away from him doing.
Right,
this
okay.
Yeah,
So nobody,
and we can to name our bank.
and this was just brought to your attention when Municipal Affairs?
Yeah.
Okay. It's unfortunate you didn't relay that to council prior to this meeting of the reason why, because asking for three readings, it's not regular practice for councils to do three readings in one meeting for any bylaw, period. So, I won't be supporting this right now. I'm gonna be doing some research, and frankly, I do think that if we're going to amend it anyways, then why can't we amend it entirely? And then, because there's nothing coming, stopping council revisiting it when the report from Municipal Affairs is completed. Why can't we make the changes now? And then if it's not completed for another 2 months and Municipal Affairs has further recommendations, nothing's stopping us from amending it. So that's my 2 bits.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of first
I'd
reading?
like a recorded vote, please.
Opposed? All right, can I get a motion?
It's defeated if it's not.
Not the first reading.
It's only
Okay.
for,
All right, carry on.
I'll make the motion for second reading.
Okay, questions?
Recorded, please.
All in favor? Do I need to make a motion for to request third reading?
You have to oppose.
Councillor Harris has already stated her position on this, that she was not going to be in support of it, so
You didn't ask opposed either, though. You said in
that
favor.
was going to be my other
My
thing.
apologies.
No, like with the initial, the
For
last
the
one.
last one. Yeah, my apologies, I didn't.
So opposed, there you go.
Opposed, sorry. And yeah, I don't think there's no point in asking for third reading because we know you're not going to.
Acting Mayor, if I may, we've all been here for 2.5 hours.
We have one more bylaw.
Yep.
Then I think we can, before the administrative reports.
Well, that's okay, sure.
Okay,
And then we can call a short recess?
Yep.
10-minute recess, okay.
all right, bylaw PLU 2-25.
This is a bylaw that's been come forward based on an application for a redesignation of 2 lots located in the C1 district. We've got a developer that would like to do multifamily rental units. To do so, he requires R4 districting. So he has submitted a request to rezone the 2 lots from C1 to R4. The map is attached to the bylaw showing which 2 lots.
All right, can I get a motion for first reading?
I'll make the motion for first reading.
Thank you. Questions? Just to be clear, these are the 2 lots beside, or behind Coach's Corner, right? Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Other questions? All in favor? Okay, all right, then I need another meeting, or another motion to hold the, is it a special council meeting or is it a public hearing?
Well, Municipal Affairs informed us that public hearings are to be held within a council meeting.
Ah,
So in order to have a public hearing now, you will need, if it's not going to be during a council meeting, we will need to call a special meeting for the purposes of holding a public hearing.
got it. Okay, can I get a motion for that?
We're gonna change the date.
Yep, that'll
Okay.
be your motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion, the council schedule a special meeting for the purpose of holding a public hearing for bylaw PLU 2-25, for July 15th.
Yeah, it's on here for the 16th,
Yeah.
but we couldn't make the 16th, so we're proposing the 15th,
At 7 p.m., correct?
7 PM. Yeah,
Oh, okay, so you notified administration after the agenda package came out then?
we only got this when we got here.
Oh, okay, no, you're right. Okay, thank you.
So the 15th at 7 PM in Chambers, correct? Awesome. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay, let's adjourn, or not adjourn, recess, 5 minutes, please. Let's hold it.
I don't
Because
think we're gonna be able to
we're gonna have
do
to,
our entire meeting.
either that or we
And
have
it's a
to.
3, we have to vote on the 3-hour minute, yeah, okay. Just taking a break. Everybody stand up.
First thing we're gonna need to do is, we know we're gonna need to go over hours. We have to actually name how long, do we not, Ms. Pino?
That is correct.
Okay, can I get a motion for up to 2 extra hours?
So extend the meeting then until, because you have until 10 o'clock in your council procedural bylaws, so extend it till midnight?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the council meeting until midnight.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Cool. All right. Administration reports, let's do it.
Stephanie?
Acting Mayor Shushin, members of council, our Pride event was really well attended. We had some great pictures and lots of people out to that. Summer programs begin on July 2nd. Just a note to anyone out there that for our field trips for the registration, I believe 4 of them have already completely filled up. So that's exciting. We were able to reduce the costs significantly, so they're very affordable this year. And then all of our other summer programming is free. So just look forward to that. Pioneer Days is coming up July 11th and 12th. So reminder events include our bike parade, barn dance, pancake breakfast, farmers market, the show and shine's back this year, and tons of other family activities. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Cool, I got a quick question on that. Just hearing that some of your field trips cost, have you got a process, an opportunity for people to donate for like sponsorship to pay for kids that can't afford it?
You could always talk to our resource center, and there would be a possibility of that. We do have our rec subsidy program as well that would cover summer program costs for if anyone had that
Had
issues with that. And people have been pretty good about reaching out to us if there's any concerns that way, and we try to reduce those barriers then.
Awesome, thank you. Councilor Bear.
Just, you didn't mention the parade, but we're gonna have a parade, right?
Yes, there is the
Okay.
parade. I didn't put it in that, but yes, the parade. But I will put this out there right now. We did change the parade route this year, so we are not going down Main Street. We are pumping out that changed. It's essentially following what we do for Hometown Weekend. There was just too many safety concerns for us going down Main Street that it was decided through the departments that we would change that this year. So reminder, I'm working the parade this year. I'm going to drive down Main Street, so if I see any families, I'm going to move them so that they don't miss out on the parade. But I put that out there to the public now.
Tara?
In corporate services, we're working on tax enforcement, tax sales, human resources, legislative compliance check, and financial analysis. Thank you.
Curtis?
Acting Mayor Station, members of council, public works, water meter changes as appointments are made and it's time to permit. Our street sweeper is to resume after repairs. We were expecting this week. Unfortunately, the wrong parts were sent, so we're expecting hopefully first week of July. It's unfortunate, but we'll keep plugging away on that. Branch and grass recycle is still open for the season, the public works yard. I want to mention also there is some free mulch there for residents as well, just to come by and take. The crack sealing in town is now complete with the exception of around the school areas, which will be completed once the school is closed. Schools are closed for the year. Line painting is to start when weather cooperates. We're expecting here early next week. Void alerts and Facebook posts will be made prior to that once we got confirmation on dates. Hydrant repairs and flushing is ongoing. Mowing and grass maintenance is ongoing as well. Thanks.
Under planning and development,
My apologies, Jay.
It's okay, have patience. With regards to public works, I just wanted to ask, and this might go to the fire department too, are there opportunities for that hydrant repairs and flushing to be, for firefighters to practice on hydrants, especially when you have to pour the water out, that kind of stuff?
Acting Mayor Station, members of council, Councilor Malante. The fire hydrants also do an important part on our water services as well. The flushing is more of an annual maintenance to help get debris and everything volatile within our system within a certain protocol. We start closest to the reservoir, close to the pumps to get all the water and debris, everything moving in the lines and flushed out of the lines in that aspect. We could potentially coordinate with fire, but it's easier just to keep in-house due to training times and everything as well, and just the time frame of getting that complete in a certain amount of time.
Okay, just trying to find some opportunities where there's extra training involved, especially when we want to protect our houses, right? Thank you.
Acting Mayor, Assistant Members of Council, Planning and Development, this year to date, development permits totals, 29 residential, 2 commercial and 1 industrial. Their, Maple is really going up. She's got a bunch more coming in as we speak. Fire department, I changed the numbers. We're at 99 county calls and 89 town, and we still got a membership of 20. Meetings, municipal affairs, legislative compliance check. That went well. We are amending and fixing minor items. You're seeing them in the meetings tonight. Completion mid to end August. This is from them, as long as the government doesn't go on strike. If the government goes on strike, then we don't know when it'll be done. So that was from them. Occupational health and safety proactive inspection program. A lady come out, talked with our safety, health and safety guy, Bram, and I talked to him this morning on that, and according to her, it went well. She is doing checks on a lot of different buildings, public works, fire department, community services, so she's going through everything, and then she'll have a report at the end, but talking to Bram, it seems like it's going fine, so he's doing a bang-up job on that. Cold wash for the Redwater fire, I went to that, but then I had to leave to come back to town because there was a fire in town, so I didn't stay to that. Project update, Memorial Park, I'll let Stephanie speak on that.
Just as it states, so our washroom facility has been ordered, our park furnishings have been ordered, and currently our engineer is getting bids and pricing for our underground and surface work.
Heartland Station, Pet Value is now hiring and should be opening soon. And Heartland Meadows, all the lots have been sold either to Nest or Roma. And there's ongoing interest in the land the town has for sale. So we have the 2 lots by the Legion. There's interest in that. And like Susan said tonight, we had a few people coming looking at the meadows. So we're just waiting. So, cottages. Yeah. There's too many different names. So.
I have a couple of questions, please, if I may. Sure. Just going back to planning and development, I don't understand. So it says 29 residential, the residential for a value of 6.3 mil, and then the other two commercial for 3,700 and 1 industrial for 12,000. So is this the value of? How does the 20? Is that the potential tax? Because I thought that these were just the costs of the permits themselves. Am I incorrect on that?
So from what I understand, it's not the cost for the permit, it's the cost of what that development will bring in assessment value. So like by them increasing their industrial, they're increasing the value of their commercial site by $12,000. Residential homes, that's how many permits have come forward, and that's a value of 6.3 million.
Okay, so the 2 commercial, for example, you're suggesting that the value is only.
It's minimal, right? So maybe they're just upgrading some things.
Okay, so this isn't a new build then?
No,
Okay.
it might not be a brand
that's what
new
I was
build. It could just be
unclear of. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. The other question that I have is that with regards to the Heartland Meadows and the properties that have been sold to the 2 developers, were those properties, the vacant properties or the properties that were put up for sale, were they offered, like, could anybody buy those? Any developer could have purchased them? That's a public sale. Oh, okay. And were they sold by Landrex or were they sold by the town?
Okay, maybe, are we talking about the 2 properties that
No,
the town?
the meadows. The meadows that have all been sold.
That's, Landrex is handling that. That's,
So Landrex only sold to the 2 developers.
yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the 2 R2 residential lots, but they were available to anyone to purchase, though. Anyone could come in and purchase those lots in the
Okay.
meadows.
All right, thank you. That's all, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I get a motion to accept this information?
I'll
make the motion to accept this information.
Thank you. All in favor? All right. Council activity. Councilor Belmonte, why don't you start?
Nothing to report this round.
Councilor Barry?
I attended the library board meeting last night, and that's all.
Okay. Councilor Harris?
I have nothing to report.
Councilor Kozak?
June 12th, the Aero Utilities 40th anniversary. June 20th, Aero Utilities board meeting. The 23rd, the town hall meeting with Del Nelly and Redwater.
Thank you. On June 12th, I also attended the Aero Utility 40th Anniversary Open House, and then went to the Rose Ridge Commission meeting. On June 14th, I was a guest at the Sturgeon Air Cadets Ceremonial Review, and then on the 23rd, I also attended the Dale Nally Town Hall in Redwater. Can I get a motion? Councilor Kozak, thank you. All in favor? All right, that's that. Notice of motion, so I just say,
So you have to publicly say that you relinquish the chair and ask Deputy Mayor Barry if she will take over, and then you can put forward your notice of motion.
awesome. Councillor Barry, I'd like to relinquish the chair. Would you take it? You do not have to actually move.
Yes, I will take it.
Thank you. Okay, notice of motion that we can talk about or bring forward on the July 23rd meeting. I've received a communication from the municipality of Cold Lake looking for our council to support a rural bus line servicing all rural communities in our area. Approaching the Alberta provincial government for, I don't know if it's funding or what, I haven't actually gone through the entire letter yet, but it'll be part of the package on the 23rd.
Now you physically need to hand that written paper to the CAO so that he has it for the next meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I pass the chair back to,
Yeah, because we don't need a motion on anything on this one, so I will accept the relinquishing of the chair and take it back. Thank you. That's so weird. All right, and that is all of it. So can I get a motion to move into closed session? Councilor Milante,
Put forward the motion to move into closed session.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, for All right. Oh, and we're good. Okay. First motion, 16.1. Can I get a motion for information, please?
I'll make that motion to receive this information.
Thank you. All in favor? And 16.2, who would like to make the motion that Ms. Pino's going to read?
That council direct administration to investigate off-highway vehicle bylaws as discussed.
Thank you. Councilor Milante.
I'll put forward the motion.
All in favor? And we're adjourned.